The silence in our house has a texture. It's thick and suffocating, like wool packed into my throat. Mark moves through the rooms we built together as if I'm a piece of furniture he's learned to navigate around. He doesn't look at me. Not with anger, not with hatred, just not at all. It's been 6 days since I broke the one rule, the only rule we ever had. It wasn't a rule born from insecurity in the early days of our marriage. It came later, on our 5th anniversary, after his father passed away. We were sitting on a park bench, the autumn air crisp around us. He told me the full story then, the one he'd only ever given me in fragments, about how his father's affair hadn't just broken his mother's heart, it had shattered his childhood. The betrayal wasn't just the act itself, but the location, the Grand Majestic Hotel. It was a local landmark, a place for celebrations and anniversaries. His father had taken his mistress there, to the very place he'd proposed to his wife. It became a monument to his family's destruction. "I don't care about anything else, Sarah," Mark had said, his grip on my hand so tight it was almost painful. "People make mistakes, but promise me one thing. Promise me you'll never go there. Not for a drink, not for a work event, not for anything. That place, it's poison to me." I promised. It was the easiest promise I'd ever made. Why would I ever go there? That was 7 years ago, 7 years before the silence. Our life had become comfortable, predictable. Mark's architectural firm took off, and with it came longer hours, weekend trips, and a mind always occupied by blueprints and client demands. I was proud of him, but the pride curdled into a quiet resentment. I was the wife of a successful man, living in a beautiful house, and I was profoundly, achingly lonely. The space between us grew, filled with unspoken things. Then came Julian. He was a consultant hired for a project at the marketing firm where I worked. He was everything Mark wasn't at that moment, present, attentive, and utterly captivated by me. He listened when I talked about my day. He noticed my new haircut. He remembered I liked my coffee with oat milk and a dash of cinnamon. It started with innocent lunches, then escalated to texts that buzzed with an electricity our marriage had long lost. I knew it was wrong. Every part of my rational brain screamed at me to stop, to go home and talk to Mark, to fight for what we had. But the validation was a drug. Feeling seen, feeling desired after years of feeling like a ghost in my own home, it was intoxicating. One rainy Thursday, Julian suggested we get a drink after work. "Someplace nice," he'd said. "Someplace we won't run into anyone." He suggested the Grand Majestic. My heart should have stopped. A klaxon should have sounded in my head, but it didn't. In the fog of my foolishness and desire, I only registered it as a discreet, elegant place.
The promise I made to Mark was a distant echo, drowned out by the thunderous beat of my own selfish heart. I told myself it was just a building. A drink wasn't a betrayal of the promise, just a drink. But it wasn't just a drink. We went upstairs. In that moment, in that room, I didn't just betray my husband. I desecrated his history. I danced on the grave of his family's pain. When I came home that night, the house was dark except for a single lamp in the living room. Mark was sitting on the sofa, perfectly still. My blood ran cold. I started to spin a lie about working late, about drinks with my team, but he just held up his hand, silencing me. "Where were you, Sarah?" he asked, his voice devoid of any emotion. It was terrifying. I was at the Grand Majestic," I whispered, the name of the hotel feeling like acid on my tongue. I expected him to explode, to yell, to throw something, to demand to know who I was with. Instead, he just nodded slowly, a single tear tracing a path down his cheek. He reached into his pocket and placed something on the coffee table. It was a receipt, a room key receipt, for the Grand Majestic Hotel, for that night. My mind fractured. "You followed me?" I gasped, a wave of indignation rising before crashing into utter confusion. "No," he said, his voice finally breaking. "I didn't follow you." He took a shuddering breath. "Today was the anniversary of my father's death. I've been going to therapy, Sarah, to deal with it all. My therapist suggested I should try to reclaim the space, to go there, stay the night, and prove to myself it's just a building, that it has no more power over me. He looked at me then, truly looked at me for the first time that night, and his eyes were hollowed out caverns of pain. I was in the lobby bar. I was trying to get up the courage to go to my room. I was sitting there, trying to breathe, telling myself I was strong enough to face it. And then I saw you. He didn't need to say the rest. The image burned itself into my brain. Mark, trying to heal his deepest wound, watching as his wife, the one person who was supposed to protect his heart, walked into that very same place of trauma, laughing with another man, to commit the very same sin that had destroyed him as a boy. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a cosmic cruelty, a twist of fate so sharp it severed our marriage in a single, silent moment. That was 6 days ago, and now I understand the silence. He doesn't scream because the damage is too profound for noise. He doesn't look at me because when he does, he doesn't just see an unfaithful wife. He sees his father's ghost. He sees his mother's tears. He sees a promise, the most important one he ever asked me to make, reduced to dust. I tried to apologize. The words sound like pathetic excuses even to my own ears. I forgot. It didn't mean anything. How could I forget something so important? How could an act that shattered his past, present, and future mean nothing?
This morning, I found a suitcase by our bedroom door. It was mine. He hadn't said a word. He didn't need to. The silence had said it all. I broke the one rule we had, and in doing so, I didn't just break his trust. I broke his soul. And some things, once broken, can never be pieced back together. He can't look at me, because I've become a living monument to his pain, a walking, breathing, grand majestic hotel in the home we once shared.